Welcome to the Star Wars Rogue One review, guys. I just watched the movie. I'm going to give you my comprehensive spoiler review. It's going to have spoilers, guys. I want to make this as comprehensive and as accurate as possible. And unfortunately, spoilers are just a necessary part of the puzzle to make this all work. So now that you know that, let's get right into the review. The first question you may be having about this movie is, what the fuck does Rogue One mean? Once again, this is going to be a spoiler. Rogue One stands for the group of rebels. This is a subsection within the rebel. The rebels are obviously the people fighting against the Imperials, which are the Sith, right? And basically, Rogue One is a subsection within the rebels. These people have came together, all from different walks of life, all have lost a lot, all have came together. They're actually defiling what the rebel plans were at the time, because the idea what they were trying to do at the time was not actually accepted by the rebels. It was a council meeting. It wasn't actually accepted, but they actually went against their own people here to actually achieve a greater goal. But that part of the movie does not actually open up. That does not become clear to you to the second half of the movie, guys. So now to the actual movie. It's split up into two major portions. The first half of the movie is all about the main protagonist. Her name is Gyro Erzo. I can't pronounce his name correctly. There's all these weird names here. And basically, she lost her father. I wouldn't say she lost her in terms of death, but her father was taken away from her as he was necessary to help build the Death Star. He was an engineer. He was a good engineer. He was used to help build the weapon, specifically on the Death Star, that would shoot that beam that you've seen in the latter three movies, 4, 5, and 6. So he helped do that. So he was kidnapped at the time. And the weird thing about her, I don't know exactly how she got to where she was. She was in prison at one point. Then after prison, she was rescued by a group of rebels. So it's not exactly clear how she got out of it, but she did escape eventually the capture of the from the Imperials, because she was initially captured. I think she was in a prison of some sort, so she must have somehow gotten out. Like, she got out basically, like, the rebels, it's really confusing what happened. They put her in a vehicle, and this vehicle was transporting her to a new spot, and then the rebels saved her when she was being transported. But this was a long time. This was like 10 years after being captured and put in prison for a long time. So I don't know why they were moving her. She was in prison for a long time already. So I don't know exactly what that was all about, but whatever. After this point, she decides that she needs to find her father. So she gets a couple of people to help her out. You have Cassian Andor. He's the male protagonist, and he helps her out. The goals of these two people are not actually the same initially. He actually is trying to kill her dad, and she just wants to see his dad. So, but at the time, not only does he lie, but when you think about their goals, although very different, actually line up at the time, as they both want to do the same thing and see the dad, because he is a valuable engineer to the rebels. They want to kill him, and she is her, it's her son, it's her daughter, so she wants to see him. So, kind of funny how that all works out. Along the way, you meet K2SO. He's a sentry. I mean, it's not really a sentry, my bad. I'm looking at this website here. KS2O. He's basically this movie's droid. He's the droid for this movie. He's very funny. He's very funny. He's like a mixture of R2-D2, because R2-D2 is always known as kind of like a rebellious character. He always likes to fuck around. But then you have 3CPO, who's a humanoid-like character who likes to speak. So you take both of those personalities. You take the rebel, kind of funny, witty character of the R2-D2, and you put that in. But you take the humanoid body, and you put that into, K2SO, and you have a character here who's actually quite interesting. He's funny, but he's really a badass guy. He fucking gets killed in this movie, but he saves everyone's ass at the end of the movie as he dies. It's crazy. Throughout the movie, he helps everyone. He does a lot of cool stuff. It's very, very useful. He used to be in the Imperialists, but he actually got reprogrammed into a rebel supporter. As he died, he actually locked the gate that would have gotten the soldiers to Jyn and Cassian much faster, which could have potentially led to trouble. But he locked this gate thing that kept them protected for much longer. So that's good. The other characters you meet, so you meet all these characters before you get to the mid. There's two climaxes. First climax is meeting the dad, and the second climax is the end of the movie. I'll get to the big climax at the end, and I really enjoy that big climax. But the first climax, before you get there, let's introduce the rest of the characters. You have Chirrut Imwe. So, he can't see, right? And he kind of reminds me of like a Buddhist or something. He can't see. He believes he has the power of the Force within him. He doesn't actually have it, but he is a solid fighter. He kicked some ass in that movie, so he's a good guy to know. Also, at this time, you meet this guy in like this like desert-like planet. You also meet this other guy. His name is Maze Malbus. He's big. He's slow. Packs a punch, guy. This guy is really, really powerful. He has a big machine gun he can blast people with. I love this gun, man. This gun is if you ever play, it's basically a Gatling gun. It's a Gatling gun this man has. He definitely helps out the team at that point. So, they eventually get out of there okay. You do have another character. He comes in a little bit later. His name is Badi Rook. He used to be an Imperialist. He was captured, right? And then, before he got killed, though, he actually got killed later on in the movie, but, like, basically, the good people, all the good people I just mentioned, they saved his ass because not only is he a pilot, he actually knew of the plans of Rin's dad, because this was the guy who was actually meant to send the message. So, kind of crazy how that comes in the first circle there. So he comes on board after Baze and Chirrup, they save him from a different prison cell they save him at that point. So at that point, that is your full squad. I'm very happy to see how the squad has time to develop because they all meet up before the mid-climax. See, at this point, the mid-climax was about an hour and a half into the movie. I was concerned that the movie would end after this point, and they would make a sequel to Rogue One, because I know how Disney likes to make spiritual and just a lot of sequels. Fortunately, the mid-climax, when he finally sees his dad, when she finally sees her dad, all the characters, they all do different things to help out. But yeah, they all came together. They all got the job done. Rin did see her dad. Unfortunately, the dad did get killed by a big explosion. This is the bad part. This is kind of interesting part. The rebels actually came in, right? The rebels came in because this was a known Imperialist base. They wanted to take it down. But unfortunately, Rin wanted to see her dad. And the last thing Rin wanted was to see, any rebels, because that means her dad was going to get killed, or the people were going to get killed, you know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, in the battle between the rebels and the Imperialists at this air base where the dad was working, he got killed. The dad got killed. And don't worry, Rin did not get killed here. So he got killed. They did escape. The entire crew escaped, which is good, because you don't want them to die. That would suck, right? If they all died, that would not be fun. But fortunately, that did not happen. They did not die. So that's really, really good to hear. So that really sums up the first half of the movie. The dad dies. She did get to see him, which is nice. But they all kind of die. All the bad guys die. And Rin's dad dies. All the characters you see here, I mentioned before, got out okay. Don't worry about that. But after this, the movie really starts to set the scale for how the rest of the movie is going to go. I was really happy to see how the story continued. It didn't end like that. That was great news. At this point, Mr. Darth Vader. He makes an appearance, guys. And oh boy, he's menacing as ever. He looks just like he used to look in number 4 in New Hope. He looks exactly the same, guys. He's very intimidating. There's a cool thing. There's actually a scene where you see him kind of just chilling as a humanoid. He's chilling in this weird container thing. I guess he can't be taken out of that thing where he would die. So yeah, you see him like hanging out. He's actually a human. You can see his skin, all his stuff. He's in this weird chamber, and then becomes Darth Vader. They don't show him putting the suit on or anything like that. But it's implied he puts the suit on, because then he walks out to meet this guy, which I'll get into in a second. And he's wearing the suit. So this guy, the guy he was meeting with, also helped build the gun, the big laser gun. And this guy's kind of a faggot. He tries to actually bargain with Vader. He tries to be a smart ass with Vader, because he's trying to be like, yo, I built this thing, give me credit. Like this guy's like, he's a pretty big part in building this weapon, right? And he did that. And Vader, obviously, you all know Vader. If you give Vader attitude, you get your ass handed to you. That's exactly what Vader did. He used his force choke on this guy. He almost died. He didn't kill him because obviously he needs him to build the weapon. But he put the point across on that, so he didn't die, which is good. So at this point, guys, all the main characters go back to the Rebel base. They say how the new objective now, because now they have the true mission here. The true mission here is to figure out exactly how to destroy the Death Star. They receive like, basically what happened here is that this part's getting a little bit confusing. Like they somehow found out that that there was actually a weakness. There was a weakness in the Death Star, in the weapon, and basically that's after the dad was killed. She was told about that, so she found it. And it's a little confusing at this point, but anyway, the main point is that there's a weakness in the Death Star, and now the goal of the second half of the movie is to find out exactly what that is. I need the plans. I need the fucking plans to do that. So at this point, there was a council meeting, and the council did not like the idea of invading a major Imperial base that had the plans because it could cause a lot of death. So Rogue One, the characters I mentioned before, Baze, Bodhi, Chirrut, KS2O, Kassan, and Jin, they all come together like, yo, fuck this shit, let's go and do our own thing. They named the ship Rogue One, they named the mission, they named the crew Rogue One, they went off. Through a series of events, they eventually get to the planet. And they begin their small-scale invasion at this point. And obviously there was some trouble, some people die, but the two main characters, you have Jin and Kassan, do in fact make it to the base. They make it to the base where the goods are. So also K2SO comes with them. They kick a bunch of ass. They get to the spot where this is cool. This is cool. They have like this database storage thing. You have the hard drives and all this. It's in this big fucking tower thing. It's all in this big tower. So K2SO is in the room, in a room back, defending them, right? Defending them as they look for this hard drive. But unfortunately, he's one droid, and he gets outmatched by about 100 stormtroopers. At this point, as he dies, his dying wish is to secure them so they don't get killed. So as he dies, he presses his button, which initiates the lock on the door, which the two main characters are in, getting that hard drive. So he initiates the lock, and the room is locked off now. So now they can easily get to the thing without worrying about stormtroopers getting in. So that's great news. They eventually acquire the hard drive. They find it. But at this point, remember that douchebag from before who was speaking badly, not speaking badly to Vader, but he's being a cocky asshole to Vader. He's like, yo, this is my thing, I want all the credit. That's basically what he was saying. He's like, yo, this is my weapon, I want all the credit for doing this. And some other guy was like, yo, you can't do that, I'm your boss. But this guy's a faggot. This guy's always been a faggot. So he comes into the room, he sees the two characters stealing the hard drive. At this point, he shoots Kassan. He doesn't die, though. He doesn't die, but he just falls down, laying there like he's dead. And then Jin eventually escapes, gets to the top of the tower. Gets to the top of this database tower, right? And obviously, guys, when you're storing storage, and you're storing data, you have to have vents because you need the hard drives to be properly cooled, or they will burn up. That's how hard drives work. You need a fan, which is why your computer has a fan in it. So she finds a way to get to the top of the fence, top of this base thing. There's a satellite. And what she needs to do is she needs to take this hard drive and she needs to transmit it to neighboring ally ships. To do this, she needs to first break the fortress. There's a fortress over the planet. That's not something she can do. That requires the rebels above to do. So while they're doing that, she adjusts the server so that the frequency used to send the data actually can be interpreted by a rebel ship. So she does that. The rebels are successful. They break the barrier. Their data is transferred. But you see the distance. In the distance, you see the Death Star coming. Yes, the Death Star can move, guys. I've never seen the Death Star move before, but we saw the Death Star approaching the planet. And Darth Vader and a bunch of other guys are like, yo, fucking blow this planet up. Those plans cannot be leaked. Cannot be leaked. So, the nuke, it gets shot. And as the nuke's getting shot, right before the nuke gets shot, that faggot I was telling you about, he comes up, he sees Rin, he sees Jin, he sees Jin. He's about to kill her, because this guy's pissed off. This guy's pissed off. He's about to kill her. Then Kassan comes up. Okay, I understand that's going to happen. Kassan comes up, shoots the guy. So, he's shot. I wouldn't say he's dead, but he's definitely shot, right? Shot. And before I get to the nuke part, my bad, I skipped one part. Unfortunately, in the crossfire, K2SO dies. Baze and Chirrut also die. Bodhi dies too. Yes, this is something new for a Disney franchise. This is owned by Disney now. People fucking die. And I love that so much. People fucking die. They all die from various attacks. That's how war is supposed to be. So they're all dead. This guy is shot. He's not dead. The douchebag is not dead. He's wounded, though. He's wounded as fuck. At this point, she sends the signal up in the sky to the rebel ships. They get it. They start downloading it. It's just one ship that gets it. It's not like some whole entire thing. It's one ship. She made the frequency so one ship can get it in the sky. That one ship gets it. At this point, the nuke starts coming down, guys. The nuke starts coming down. And the two main characters, right? Rin, Kassan, they fucking get killed by the nuke. Yes, two main characters, the two main characters of this movie get killed Yes, the main character in the Disney movie does no longer exist. And what happens next is why I think this is probably one of the best Star Wars movies of all time. That one ship has the stuff. And what happens is this guy takes this card out. He takes this card out. And this card, right? This card has the information. And all of a sudden, Darth Vader comes to the ship that received the data. He starts killing everyone. This guy has the card that has the plans to end the war. There's an escape pod, right? Getting ready to leave. The door closes so he can't get in. There's enough space to kind of throw the card in there so the people who are escaping can get that information and ship it to the rebel. So as Vader comes, he's about to kill him. He throws the card in there, right? And then that escape pod escapes, and then this guy gets fucking killed by Vader. Gets fucking dead, right? And the movie ends. That Vader goes back to the white ship, right? And this white ship may seem familiar because this white ship looks very familiar because the last scene in the movie is Princess Leia saying, because at this point she knows that the data did get successfully into that escape pod. It's her saying, "We have hope," or something like that. The movie ends, and it's the exact same ship that starts episode 4. So fantastic movie. It all fits in perfectly. The only small complaint, I mean, it's not a perfect movie, right? The only complaint I can possibly think of at this time, right, is I do wish there was more returning characters. Now, this is between 3 and 4. A lot of characters we've seen should be alive and should be well off. Like, where the fuck was Obi-Wan Kenobi? I know this is a war movie about a small base in the Rebel army. I know this is a small base. Think about Obi-Wan Kenobi, no mentioning. The Emperor. They said his name before, but they never actually showed him off or anything like that. You have Mason Windu. I mean, you have so many characters. Yoda. Where the fuck is Yoda? Don't you think Yoda should have anything to do with this? I don't know, man. I don't know. No, I mean, no Luke. I mean, Luke's a baby at this point, but still. What about Anakin's wife? What happened to, I mean, I know it's not actually Natalie Portman, but like, what happened to Natalie Portman's character? What happened to her? So many questions. I do wish there was more answers, but that's how Star Wars movies make all the money they do. They don't answer any questions. They only answer very few things. They don't like to close the story. In this case, they actually did close the story by blowing up the main characters. But there's many other stories you still wonder about, and hopefully one day we find the answer. But overall, this movie, Rogue One, better than Force Awakens, right? It's better than Episode 1, better than Episode 2. 3 was a good one, though. 4, 5, and 6 were also pretty good. But this is a fantastic entry in the Star Wars franchise. Any fan will enjoy, and even people who are not fans will still probably enjoy this movie. So overall, if I were to give this movie a rating, a 9 out of 10 is very, very fair rating for this movie. It did a great job getting me back into the franchise. Because Force Awakens was not my favorite movie out there. Overall, I really hope you enjoyed that video. This movie has restored a lot of lost faith I had in the franchise after Force Awakens. This movie took risks. Main characters died. People just died in general. There was a bunch of new characters, but these characters were actually done right. They were interesting. The backstories are very unclear, but they were still interesting. The guy who loved the Force, although he never had the Force, was still that guy. What was his name again? Let me check the article here. His name was Chewbacca. It was really cool. Overall, fantastic movie. Check it out. Thank you and bye.